everyone, and welcome to FranTastic InSights. My name is Joan Winchester, and I'm the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships with FranServe. FranServe is the world's largest franchise consulting organization, and we help brands grow by providing them with warm candidate introductions to prospective franchisees. FranServe Network, it consists of some of the industry's top consultants, so we're super excited to help your brand grow. So today I'm excited to have with me Mr. Aaron Harper. Aaron, I have to tell you that I've done hundreds of interviews and I've never addressed anyone as Mr. But you have earned so much respect in the industry for what you have created, the brands that you have impacted and grown and built, that I feel Mr. suits you today. So welcome to FranTastic InSights, Mr. Aaron Harper.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much, and I'm glad to be here.
So Aaron, I know you've helped multiple brands in the home services industry, and today we're talking about Rolling Suds, where you came in, as the founder and now chairman of the board. Love to know why Rolling Suds. Like, why are you
Yeah,
so
sure.
passionate about it?
Well, I looked at a lot of different brands when I was considering which ones to franchise, and there were just a lot of things that, like, I had a checklist of what I was looking for, and Rolling Suds and Power Washing checked all of those boxes. So there's a handful of things that I like. The industry is incredibly fragmented. Most of the power washers in the industry are largely residential, meaning they're doing houses predominantly and driveways and such like that. I do like that Rolling Suds is predominantly commercial. So it's parking garages, it's water towers, stadiums. We did the Superdome, as many people know, the top of the Superdome before the Super Bowl. We do airports nationwide. We do military bases, shopping centers. Starbucks, Popeyes, and Panda Express are some of our national accounts that we have generated for our franchisees. So there's really just this great opportunity in the commercial power washing space that largely no one else is kind of capturing, at least not at this scale that we are. And then the element of having a kind of proprietary cleaning process creates a moat for franchisees, basically allowing us to clean faster and wash faster, being able to do a 3,000 square foot house in 20 minutes or less, be able to hit a 5-story parking garage from the ground and not have to rent lifts or anything like that with our equipment and with our process. And so you have kind of like a first market kind of element, right? Because we're the biggest power washing franchise in the world, and we can kind of become the Serve Pro of power washing, the 1-800 got junk of power washing. We're in a great place. And there's strategy in business, and then there's also a lot of luck. Like, I think we kind of hit the strategy and luck kind of where they collide. And so, yeah, there's just a handful of things, but so some of those come off the top of my head.
So do I need to be able, a franchisee, right, for Rolling Suds, do they need to be able to operate a power washer or heavy equipment, or what type of
I mean,
individual do you look for as a franchisee?
yeah, so we're looking for people who want to build big businesses. And what that means is that they're coming to the table with um, uh, more capital. They're going to hire a general manager in training to kind of like run the truck. That person will have a technician underneath them. And the franchise owner is going to be out in their community talking to the property manager that manages 1,000 doors, because that property manager wants to talk to the owner of the business, wants to trust the owner of the business, and then never wants to bid on those 1,000 doors for anyone else ever again.
Hmm.
Um, and so the franchisees really in their community building commercial relationships that turn into recurring revenue. And they're closing the commercial jobs. We do not expect franchise owners to have sales experience. Fortunately, our business is really relational. Our mission statement is this is a relationship. And the reason is when you have these relationships with property managers and facilities maintenance managers and general contractors and construction cleanup companies and painters and line striping companies. Um, that then just becomes more recurring revenue from those relationships. And so we really want the owner in their community full time, building those relationships so that their general manager and their technicians run the trucks.
So, what kind of training does Rolling Suds provide?
So our training's really robust. It's 10 weeks, it's 9 weeks virtual, and it's 1 week in person. And the 9 weeks of virtual consists of about 4 weeks of actually doing commercial estimates full time in their market before they open. We have a lead generation strategy that targets both national accounts and then local commercial relationships. And so the local is sending out thousands of emails per month in the franchisee's territory as if those emails are them. And then when someone replies and says, yes, I need an estimate on these 8 apartment buildings that I manage, we then send that lead to the franchise owner, and the franchise owner goes out and converts that job and turns that estimate into a job. And so they do that for 40 weeks, for 4 weeks, or excuse me, for 40 hours a week for 4 weeks prior to going to training. So it's not uncommon for franchisees to have significantly large amounts of revenue on the books before they go to training, and sometimes a really large amount of estimates that they've given that a certain percentage of those commercial estimates will fall. And then on a national level, we target national accounts. So we just got a ton of the Starbucks nationwide, more than half of them, which is a big get for us. We have about 20,000 HOA communities. That is a national account that is given to franchisees before they launch, depending on where they are in the country and how much demand there is. That's the largest HOA property management company, which we have a relationship with. We're onboarding about 400 Popeyes this year. We did 200 last year. There's just a lot to be done on the national level. And so we have 4 full-time team members that are targeting work for our locations nationwide, which in some cases we've been able to completely change the world of the franchise owner with these accounts. And in some cases, a couple ones that I'm thinking of, one job that we've brought franchise owners has justified the entire investment in the brand just from one job. And so these are the types of things we like to do for our franchise owners now that we have over 300 units and 100 franchisees operating in 37 states. We can be really, target these big national contracts.
Wow, and it sounds like they have business when they open their doors.
Every one of them has, yeah.
That's great. Because that's a big fear.
Really exciting.
How do I get customers? And it sounds like Rolling Suds is taking care of that. No surprise there.
We are helping them do that. We do expect them to go in their community and build their own relationships. However, like I said, we have been able to really impact. I mean, our top franchisee this past year, the national accounts work that we brought him was over a third of his revenue. The top franchisee.
Wow. They must love that.
They're happy. They bought their 3rd truck on month 4.
Awesome. So, a little bit about the timeline. Like, suppose someone became a franchisee today. How long till they can actually open their doors?
10 weeks. As long as they have the money at signing. Yeah. I mean, we handle the whole production line of the trucks. So when I launched this, I was like, okay, what suppliers do I need for whether it's a call center, like we have a call center that answers phones. That's like an external call center. So we don't have that in-house. And then which ones are we going to outsource, right? Like which ones do we need in-house? Which ones are we going to outsource? And one of the ones we basically needed in-house was to actually handle the truck production. And the reason is basically some months we might build 30 trucks, and then another month we might build 1 truck. And so for a supplier that's not part of our company, it's going to be really hard for that supplier to staff up or down relative to the needs of what we need to scale. And so we can build 200 plus trucks a year with the systems that we built.
So I know you mentioned over 300 territories that you're currently servicing. What markets are still open and where are you looking to grow?
Well, we have entire states open. So, that's the crazy thing is like, I've been doing this a long time. And when you hit 300 units and 100 franchisees, people start to think, oh my gosh, you're all sold out. There's no territory left. And like, that's absolutely could not be further from the truth. We're about 30% of where we want to be in terms of franchise ownership in nationwide. And so we do need, to kind of get to scale even faster. So uh, Wisconsin, we have one franchisee in Minnesota. We have no franchisees in Michigan. We have one franchisee in Massachusetts. We have one franchisee in Connecticut. So largely those states are almost entirely wide open. Um, Rhode Island doesn't have any franchisees. We still have a lot of territory left in Houston. We still have territory left in the DFW area, Dallas Fort Worth. We have territory left in Atlanta, in the greater Atlanta area, territories in, like Huntsville, Alabama, Cleveland's wide open. Like there's just a lot still out there that's available. Los Angeles has tons of territory. We can open units in California. We just delivered 1,000 units of Starbucks on 2 to 3 year contracts to franchisees in California. So there's so much we can do that we don't like where we're at from a national accounts perspective is we're just on the cusp of we're at a 90 degree. And basically, in order to get to the Walmarts of the world, the Targets of the world, the Love's travel centers of the world, and get all of those, they need us to be in 45 to 50 states. And we need 100 to 150 more franchise owners. Like that's just in order to get to where we want to go, that's where we need to be. And so it's a really good time for a franchise owner to get into Rolling Suds because now we're 3 years into this. We've got proof of, concept, with 100 locations. Um, we are proving it on the national accounts level. But like a Love's Travel Center is a perfect example. Love's is like, hey, we have 700 locations. Um, we will give them all to you, but you have to do all of them. Right. And so it's like, okay, well, now we've got to fill all these markets so that we can then go get those bigger accounts. Um, and so the franchisees that get in right now are just basically stepping into that versus like 3 years ago, we didn't have that yet. We didn't have enough critical mass.
So, Aaron, without mentioning any names, can you think of one franchisee that joined Rolling Suds that just transformed his life?
Yeah. So I'll talk about the franchisee that was the top franchisee in our system last year. So he started in October of 24, and then 25 was his first calendar year in business. Him and his business partner. Uh, they did, they added their second truck on month 2 because of the demand that they experienced through their own lead gen as well as what was provided by us at the franchisor level. And then we had just launched national accounts at the very end of 24. And so the first big national account job that we delivered to a handful of our franchisees was shopping centers. And shopping centers have to be cleaned every night. It's part of their maintenance agreement. These are things that have to happen. So we deliver them a national account that account alone required them to buy their third truck just to service those shopping centers. And so they bought their third truck on month 4 of their business. And in the first calendar year of business, brought in a life changing amount of revenue. And a third of that revenue, over a third of that revenue, was generated through the efforts that we put forth at the corporate level to help generate business for our franchisees from a national accounts perspective. We also had a franchise owner in Chicago, and we delivered him a ton of schools. And similar to that gentleman in that I'm talking about for is a 5-year contract. So this is 5 years of guaranteed work that we negotiated and generated. The gentleman in Chicago was on his 60th day of business, and we delivered him a count that justified the entire investment in Rolling Suds. He bought his second truck on month 60, or excuse me, day 60. Um, and in his first year, did great. And now has all of his costs covered and everything for the next 5 years from that one job. So those are two instances where we've been able to provide so much value in one swift contract that everything else on top of that's just gravy.
I mean, what we do is so rewarding, right? Helping change people's lives through franchise ownership. I mean, many people think about it, right? But franchising makes that possibility, and certainly Rolling Suds makes it a great opportunity. So, Aaron, thanks so much for being with us today and sharing insights into Rolling Suds. I'm excited about it. I'm ready to get one here in Philly. Um, Although it's snowing, so I probably would take the day off, or it will be snowing. But
Yeah.
anyway, thanks for being with us. And any last thoughts today before we wrap up?
No, I mean, what I'll say is for anyone who's watching this, whether it's a consultant in your system or as a prospective franchise owner, this is a really great time to get involved in Rolling Suds because what we're going to do in the next 2 years is going to completely change and make the business just even more robust. And the fact that there's still territories in Atlanta and Houston and Chicago and Los Angeles and like these really major metro markets is wild to me. And so franchisees that step in and are able to take some of these prime territories now before the whole country becomes sold out in the next, let's call it 3 years, would be it's just a great opportunity.
Great. Well, thanks, Aaron, Mr. Harper, for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thanks
having
so
me.
much. And we look forward to seeing you soon. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.